Shitty poop pile lay where it may.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the No Retakes podcast, where I have already restarted the podcast, and so this is actually the second retake. But we're going to commit this time. My name is Josh. I'm the lead trader and founder of NBT Full Time Day Trader. With me is one of our trading mentors, Abe, who leads on the sell side, and we're gonna do a bit more of a fun podcast. Try to do this more routinely, hosted in the Discord, and in the future, I would also like to see people participate in these as well. And I just completely can I pop this out? Can I pop this out for the stream? And then can we do, oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Okay. So, and then we'll get rid of this. Oh, wonderful. All right. Anyways, some technical stuff, Abe. Abe, let me tell you what, there's a lot going on. The market is kind of selling off here. And, the number one stories are one thinks that it's just too damn overvalued. Everything is extremely overvalued. Lots of fear. And we'll run through some other headlines, but let's get your take right now as things stand. You freaking out here? You having a little panic attack?
No. I mean, I would say that it's definitely concerning as far as the disconnect between, especially today. Like, we had the S&Ps up on the day, but the volatility measurements in the market were just screaming that, hey, we're going lower, beware. So yeah, as far as that goes, am I concerned? No. Are we likely going to see new lows? Yeah.
Yeah, like VIX is at 21 right here. Wow, at 21.
And the VIX was up on the day while the market was higher. So
Yeah.
anytime that you see that just total fracture of the relationship between the S&P and the VIX, that's usually an indicator that something's going on.
True that. We're also recording this in the live market, and I'm considering I'll let MU run. No, I'm actually going to take a 32% here on some of these MU puts. So, one of the other major headlines this morning was Bezos is back to work. I guess his new wife is getting bored of him, getting bored of his nonsense and telling him to get out of the house more. And so now he's joined a new AI startup. What do you think of that? He's joined the AI hype train while everyone's saying this is a massive bubble. AI is nothing. Not everyone, but a major cohort of people are saying he instead is going upstream, joining a startup called Prometheus. Mind you, have you seen that movie? Prometheus?
I have, but I don't even remember what it's about. Prometheus.
It's part of the Alien vs. Predator trilogy, man. Which I love those movies. Honestly, a lot of those movies.
I was thinking of something else. Maybe I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, people go to a planet. They want to start re-civilization, but those little alien things form inside them and kill everyone on the planet. Yeah, those movies honestly are really trash, but it's like the good kind of trash. I like it. I like it
the kind of trash that you like.
Yeah. I love monster flicks, horror movies. And
I watched half of that Frankenstein movie. I don't know. You said you were going to watch it.
Oh, it was great.
I didn't get to finish it.
Oh, it was amazing.
I didn't finish it,
you didn't watch it?
No, I did watch a good chunk of it, but then my wife has a problem with movies. Like, she falls asleep, and then I'm either forced to rewatch or find something else to watch while she's asleep. So
I will say that
lose.
Yeah, that. Would you think the gore there was? My wife was. She had to close her eyes a few times to look away because the amount of gore in that movie. Obviously, Frankenstein is the creation of like several dead bodies put together and brought back to life, but the amount of
That part,
detail and the gore.
yeah, that part didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Like when there were, yeah,
I,
it's
there were some
I
points where I was like, wow, they're going there. They're really going for it.
yeah, that part didn't really me that much, but I don't know. I was interested, and I can't wait to finish it. But
Yeah. You know, but the thing that got me was like, this isn't, my big takeaway was like, this is not like Netflix quality. This is like HBO quality. I thought it was a really, really good film to make you
yeah, I
feel
mean,
bad for
Netflix.
the monster, you know? And speaking of which, for like streaming services, we've been big. We both have pretty sizable positions in ANGX, and that thing's catching a nice rally. And there's this big cultural push happening from. I mean, how do you even phrase it? Woke ideologies to more conservative
We've seen it's
ideologies.
it's been a series of rejections by the marketplace that we've witnessed time and time again, whether you're looking at Disney, whether you're looking at stupid marketing campaigns from the likes of Budweiser and Anheuser. Um, it's just time and time again, the marketplace with Target has rejected this notion that we're going to be force fed things that we don't want. And that's what's kind of cool about the whole strategy of this new platform is that they've actually created a guild where members can sign up and vote for the content that they want to have created on this platform. So it's almost like a crowdsourced content creation.
Yeah, how do you think that goes in the long haul? Do you think that actually prevents it from becoming what's the word I want to go for? You know, a lot
Depends.
of
It depends on how they. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it depends on how they continue to structure the organization of the company. So, like, there's ways that you could get away from the actual pure crowdsourcing of it and give more control to the actual company itself. And down the road, it's very possible that they do that. So we'll see.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You know, because a lot of these, you know, like I think Twitch basically runs like the same. It's not the same, but it's kind of the same. Where, you know, instead of voting on what gets made over on Twitch, they kind of vote with views on which streamers make it. But that's what is also destroying the platform today because it's just caused the company to go just culturally. I feel like just completely downhill. I feel like that company. I think the clock is ticking on Twitch before Amazon says, okay, like why are we interviewing terrorists, inciting violence? You know, all it takes is a few articles about what's going on at that company before Amazon's like, yeah, we're shutting this down. This is
Yeah, I mean, it could be weaponized. It can definitely be weaponized for certain. I mean, here's a future potential scenario. Imagine that you get a bunch of people. The if you've ever gone through the process of voting for the different films that they are creating, they ask you like three different questions. Like basically, is this uplifting and does it promote basically like good morals or something like that? And then they ask you, I don't remember the second question. And the third question is like, how disappointed would you be if this didn't get made? But the number one question that they ask you is this a wholesome, uplifting story behind this production? So that's kind of their goal is to make good, wholesome content. It doesn't necessarily. It's not like it doesn't mean the content's going to be, without violence. It doesn't mean the content's going to be about the Bible or about religious things, but the themes and the messages of the overall arching movies are intended to be positive, uplifting, and have a good message. So it's totally possible that if you get enough people in there that don't agree on what a good message is, that when they when they vote for these things, they could steer the content in a direction that's the same thing that we've seen with all these other companies that have had their ideology steered into a different direction. So
Well,
yeah, that is a risk with having a platform like that.
well, I agree. I will say, so far, what I see on social media has made me even more bullish because I see non-religious people liking the content. Huge plus on a religious platform. And what's even more positive is I see the religious extremists uh complaining about it, saying, I watched this movie and they said hell. How could you be a Christ believer if you say the word hell? And I'm like, oh, good, they don't like it, which means it's not like completely cringe garbage.
No, I think they've done a good job of keeping it as mainstream as they can, and they've really got some talented actors that are starring in some of these films. Uh, they've got some big names on the roster, and they're creating quality content that people are going to want to watch. As long as they continue to do that, um, I don't think it's not like some of these. Number one, it's not like a Christian platform. It's not putting out Christian movies. It's more focused on just wholesome messages
It's a
and
Disney. It's Disney. It's old Disney, not new Disney. It's old
basic
Disney.
basically, yeah.
Right.
It's like
And
it's
that's
like
what I
Disney
love.
for everybody before everybody went crazy.
Right. And the kids movies on there are freaking great. And shows and stuff. Like that's what I want my son watching if he's going to watch something. Is what they got. But they also got some stuff for me. So, and a name like Angel Studios, I think, is a great name as well. This could be the PBS replacement if the culture swing keeps happening. Um, that we're getting right now. Well, I don't know. Madami kind of makes me think maybe not. But I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole. We recently had a discussion on are things better or worse for, and there's what's going viral on. Let me zone in a little bit more. Let me hone in on this a little bit more. There was a tweet that went super ultra mega viral that everyone was talking about on FinTwit where someone posted about, in the 1950s, a janitor could afford, you know, a house that today would cost, 800,000, and um, how it's not like that anymore. And the comments were nothing but, well, you're just lazy, pull your up by your bootstraps. What's wrong with you? Especially from all these hedge fund guys that are like, that's a bunch of nonsense. But then you look at the
It's
data. You look at the data today, and I don't know if you agree with me because we kind of argued on this back and forth, which might make good for content. But I think that there's a lot of validity. You see people like Madami getting elected, outright socialists, garbage
it's an
person.
easy
But there's a nugget of truth there that the 70-year-olds today are doing substantially better than the 70-year-olds 40 years ago. And the 30 and 40-year-olds today are doing substantially worse. And we can see
but
that in the data.
but by what metric though? Because that's I don't believe that that is true for a variety of different reasons. Yes, there are elements of truth to it, but your overall quality of life for a young individual today is significantly higher than your overall quality of life for a young individual
Hmm.
um 30, 40 years ago, not because they're making so much more money, but because of what technology has done for society. So with less money, I can appreciate the luxuries of life today, having a supercomputer in my pocket, having a connectivity to the entire world that didn't exist in a way that we uh, older farts like my parents, and some would even say me, that we it just didn't exist when we were younger individuals. So maybe on a dollar per dollar basis, when you look at how much house you can buy for your buck, for someone like my parents, the first house they bought was like 36 grand, right? That doesn't happen today, right? However, they also didn't have the same quality of life that I do now. Even though I have to pay a lot more for my house, I can do 1,000 more things that didn't even exist when they were young people. And yeah, things are more expensive, but technology has gotten to such a place where it's made the some of the best technologies available to even people with relatively low incomes.
Yeah, there's new opportunities, but I think those opportunities, and I think this is the trend that's going to continue to happen, is there is the reality of life is that there is a certain level of intelligence needed to do the best paying jobs, and that floor continues to rise as technology continues to develop. And I hear what you're saying, but there's also a piece. There's a little bit. What I think that conservatives are going to run into. And let me just say for people who usually I don't talk about politics, and I used to back when Biden was in office. I used to constantly throw shots at dumb things the administration was doing. Then Trump got elected, and I started throwing shots at all the dumb things he was doing. And I lost over 12,000 followers on TikTok in 1 month because people thought that I was, on their team. So let me be clear that if I start to sound like I'm on your team, trust me, I'm not. And you're gonna hate the next thing that comes out of my mouth, if not at this moment, eventually in the future. Um, but there's a certain piece of what you're saying that sounds a lot like Klaus Schwab, where he's like, "Oh, things are great, In the future, you're gonna own nothing and you're gonna love it because of technology. Your life's gonna be great. You're just gonna have no real assets, um, but you won't care because you'll just be, a mindless social media zombie living in VR land, and that'll be great." That's not exactly what you're saying, but I feel like that's what you're saying leads, because the metric that says that 7-year-olds are doing better than ever is by the number of assets they own, how much those assets have appreciated, and what their income is. And then if you look at 40-year-olds, it's the complete opposite. They can't buy homes. They aren't making as much money. Their wages aren't going up and keeping pace with inflation. The dollar is rapidly dying. And so, like, those are the metrics, like the basic metrics that you would use to evaluate, the health of the economy. And even when we look at the last consumer data report, I mean, it beat expectations, and everyone says, "See, everything's fine." You dig into it, and the upper 10%'s doing over 50% of all the spending. They're doing better than ever. They own all the AI stocks. They all have all the homes, and all these prices keep going up. They feel rich as hell. And the bottom cohort is out there now electing legitimate socialists, um because because that's their way of revolting. I was reading a newsletter from Mike Green, and he said, and it rang so true to me, and you might like this too: freedom only exists when there is security in the people, because tyranny requires, um I think I'm screwing up the quote, but tyranny basically requires dependence. When there's massive poverty and stuff, that's when you can get a tyrannical leader to come in and fix things. That's when society starts to break down. And I feel like that's where we're headed. We're looking at the people doing good, and we're looking at the way that technology has changed, and we're saying, well, you got more than ever. Why aren't you happier? And we're ignoring one, what the people are obviously crying about. And there's got to be some sort of truth to it, you know?
Well, there is truths to it, but the truths that resonate with me to the situation is, all right, let's take your individuals that are in the lower echelons of the economic sphere, and you can say that they just don't have enough to get ahead, but it's a lot of this comes down to ideology. Like a lot of this comes down to how you think about what you have. And when you've got a victim culture that teaches from the very you've got this Marxist ideology that's prevalent throughout all of our educational systems that teaches this oppressed oppressor relationship. And when you have a mentality that that's the dynamic and the prism that you should be able to look through culture and every aspect of culture and see that you're never going to have your quote unquote oppressed class or your lower socioeconomic sphere be able to get out of that on their own. It doesn't matter if you give them more money, they're always going to be in this perpetual cycle of this oppression. Like you can't change that without shifting the actual way of thinking about life
Yeah,
because
but I get what you're saying. The 80-20 rule, right? You know, uh, 20% of all the mass and the universe is
80%
contained in
controlled
the,
by 20.
oh yeah, 80% of the mass in the universe. Yeah, sorry, thank you. I was like, I'm saying this wrong, but my brain wasn't catching up. Um, yeah, 80% of the mass in the universe is consolidated to 20% of objects, right? 80% of the work done in corporations is done by 20%. 80% of the wealth is typically held by the top 20%, right? And that is physics to a certain extent. That's like a philosophical truth. However, I think we're breaking that on the other end, and we are we have created distortions across the financial landscape where it is it's gone too far, and you've
Sure. So how
destroyed
do you
what
fix
used to
that?
be a middle class.
Yeah. How do you fix that?
um you actually got to start taxing the billionaires more, but you need to do it in a sensible way. And if these people
I don't think
leave
that's how you
if
fix
these
it.
people leave, by the way, if these people leave the country because they're getting taxed more, you gotta actually hold them accountable. And I actually think you're a garbage person um if you're like, oh, this country, the US is going to tax you more, so I'm going to go to Britain. All your prosperity and stuff comes from you living in this amazing country that's given you these amazing opportunities, and for you to just peace out, I think makes you a trash human, honestly. But
Think that taxes are definitely
they're but
important and they play a role, but I don't
right.
think that's the solution.
Well,
That's not
no,
the
I mean,
solution. You
I'll tell
can't
you
bring
what.
the bottom up by dragging the top down, right?
Oh,
So,
but you
so
can.
I think the solution
You're not
is
trying to bring the bottom
to
up though. That's wrong, because the bottom's always going to be the bottom. What you need to do is restore the middle, and the middle's dying.
well,
The middle's the
you
one
gotta
getting taxed the most. You got to tax the
you
upper, and you
you
got to lower
gotta bring
taxes on the
the
middle.
you gotta bring some of the bottom to the middle. That's the only way that you can restore the middle because
Yeah,
these people that are quote unquote not in the middle are now in the bottom. So you got to bring some of the bottom up to the middle. How do you bring that bottom up to the middle? You do it through education. You do it through destruction of this dangerous ideology that says that we live in this dichotomy where you're either this oppressed or oppressor. You do it by bringing back good jobs to this country and not shipping our jobs overseas
see that?
and actually creating an industrial base within this country again where we can have people that can get good paying jobs, and we don't just send everything over to India, to China, down to Mexico, to Canada, we don't have all of our manufacturing somewhere in a different country. Number one, I mean, if you want to talk about the middle class, that's what created the middle class after these wars that we went through in this last century, was all of this industry that we had, and then that slowly got shipped overseas and eroded through whether you want to call it collective bargaining or just ridiculous paychecks for people doing like there's a variety of different reasons of why. Yeah, they were good paying jobs, but you were paying somebody to do something that was kind of ridiculous given the fact that we can just accomplish the same thing as a company. And when you live in a, a capitalist country where these companies are very concerned with their bottom line, and they can save 80% in the cost of labor by sending something overseas, that's what I think these tariffs are being weaponized to use as a tool to try and drive some of that workforce back into the United States. And I think that'll be a long-term net benefit for the middle class.
Yeah, I think that that's like noise. People don't want manufacturing jobs. They're not going to come back. They just aren't. Instead, and if you try to push for that to come back, I mean, what happened? What happened when all these people were, people keep fighting the robotics, the AI, and all they do is accelerate it. And what you just pitched, I feel like is fighting it, because what happened with the shipping stuff, where people were like, "Oh, we don't want we don't want all of this to be automized at the docks." Well, all these companies said, "Okay, we'll raise your wages," turned around, grabbed the biggest loan from the banks they could possibly get, and put it into research and development, R&D, for more automation, so that they could accelerate the process. Like, you guys want to be paid even more? Okay, well, that makes it actually more logical for us to invest in the robotics, because now our expenses are so much higher because you guys are getting paid even more money. And that's all that's going to happen with wanting to bring manufacturing back to the US. US workers are expensive compared to the rest of the world, and we already are at a global economy. Now maybe wars break out and that global, with the global order's already been destroyed, but it's not going to be workers going to the factories. It's going to be robots going to the factories. And those jobs are just not coming back. Even if they did come back, Americans don't want to do them. There's a labor market shortage because people are just not doing these jobs. Ford put out an announcement saying that they're willing to pay their engineers $150,000 a year, and they can't fill the jobs. They're like 2,000 jobs short, offering over 6 digits. No one's working the jobs. So, like, Americans just don't want to do that. And we just kicked out all the immigrants that would.
What do you mean? I totally disagree that Americans just don't want to do that, because I mean, look at some of these companies. How many Americans does Tesla employ?
Okay, but it's what?
How many Americans does Apple employ? How many Americans do these companies that are, massive companies across the United States that are offering these jobs? And when we're like Intel, that we're getting behind Intel, the US government is getting behind Intel, encouraging other companies to invest in Intel. And how many Americans does a company like Intel employ, where these aren't just factory jobs, but they are factory jobs to a degree that they're manufacturing technology. And I mean, that's bringing meaningful jobs. And you can say that Americans don't want to do that. I think that's total bullshit. I think Americans do want to do that.
But then what do you say to Ford putting out saying, "Hey, we can't get people to work these jobs, and we're offering them 6 digits. We're offering them above what the marketplace does"? I mean, are you just saying, "Nah, fake news"? Is that your response to that? Because I mean, that's just
I'm not familiar with the Ford situation that you're talking about.
And I mean, even with Intel, I think the consensus among analysts is that there isn't a large enough labor force to put Intel at the scale that they want to be at. And I mean, the whole reason why everyone loved Trump's golden ticket thing was because they were like, oh yeah, to get the, because it's the work at a foundry isn't just like a factory job. It's actually a very highly
Yeah.
technical
So
but also labor intensive
yeah,
job.
these are very technical and they're very skilled jobs. So like,
Yeah,
and we, I think,
but
I
I
think
mean
number
that
one,
I think
we
the
need to have, we need to restructure the way that we are deciding to finance education in the United States. So like when it comes to you applying for your any type of assistance for school funding here in the United States, so like getting federal loans. I'm sorry, if we have a country that needs 5,000 mechanics for Ford and they're paying $120,000 a year for these mechanics, when you go to apply for a federal loan for you know, a gender studies or whatever the hell it is that you want to go, that should be, or even just a soft skill, any type of soft skill. When we have a need in the country for a technical hard skill, we should find ways to fiscally promote those hard skills and give more money, lend at a more favorable rate with forgiveness for the industries that we're trying to build and promote that through the monetary system that we already have in place
hmm.
and be a little bit discriminatory with our dollars.
The headline related to that was that apparently Bill Ackman and Chamath sat down with Trump and were trying. Trump asked them, "How do you fix the educational system?" And Bill Ackman's solution was that universities should be held liable for the first 20% of all debt, so that they would actually have to run a risk analysis of whether certain majors could ever afford to pay back that debt, and
Yeah,
therefore there would be there would be far fewer grants for shit degrees that don't get jobs.
I think that's a great way to start, but I think we should go beyond that. And I think we should create incentive programs for the industries that we have needs for within the country at the federal level. If we're gonna be giving assistance to individuals that are lower income to go to school to begin with through like federal grants and different state grants and stuff like that, then those grants should prioritize the demand and the need throughout the country.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you can do that a variety of different ways. You can give more favorable rates for different industries. Um, it's almost like an internal tariff to a degree. If you want to go get this education that the country really doesn't have a high demand for this particular education, then it's going to cost you more out of pocket and you're going to have to pay for it yourself. But if you're looking for a high skilled technical job that we have a lot of demand for, well, then we're going to assist more fiscally in you being able to achieve that. And that would help fill some of these, especially if you're talking that's 120K to be a mechanic. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
guess.
It
I
sounds like we need more
guess.
people being incentivized to become mechanics.
Yeah, I like Bill Ackman's idea. I don't know if I'd go as far to say get the government more involved and print more money. All right, let me ask you about this. Let me ask
I
you
mean, you're
about
really not getting them more involved. You're just directing the
the
current money
hose.
more efficiently. No, you're just directing the money more efficiently to areas where we need instead of just allowing people to, well, if the school offers it, the government's going to give you assistance to pay for it regardless if the school offers it. Well, no. Why not direct that money to the needs of the country?
I don't know. I just in the last decade, I feel like we've watched the government become more and more and more inefficient. So if there's anything that requires them or you think would help them to be more efficient, they'll find a way to screw it up.
It's true. And
I
it's not
think
like
these
the
guys just
schools
need
it's
to
not
do
like the schools
less.
it's not like the schools and the education system hasn't taken advantage of that though.
Yeah.
They've
Oh,
done
they
nothing but
definitely
take
have.
advantage of it for the last
All right.
30 years to the point where it's crazy. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I think the next topic natural transition UBI. What do you think of UBI?
I think down the road, it's going to be something that people will probably have to look at. I have fundamental problems with it, just ideologically, but it depends on what technology looks like and what the actual job market looks like when we get full automation in a lot of these different industries. We're not there yet. We still have companies that have hundreds of thousands of employees because those employees are needed and they can't be replaced with AI or robotics or automation. So there's definitely a conversation to be had, but I think we're a decade away from that conversation, or not even a decade away from it, but a decade away from the need to even begin implementing something like that because the automation on scale doesn't exist currently today. It's something that everybody's talking about will be here in the very, very near future. If you look at what Elon said about his Optimus robots and the actual timeline for mass production of them, it's in the very, very near future. And that's going to drive.
Elon does typically overshoot timelines, but
Yeah. 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 But I mean,
kind of his thing.
even if he's a couple of years
Off.
ahead, that still is going to be very problematic for unskilled labor within this country.
So, I mean, do we do what we always done and we just come in late and fix the problem? Because here's what I, when I was talking about taxes, this is where that comes back in. Maybe the tax shouldn't be towards people. Maybe the tax should be towards corporations. Because when Apple's, 8% of the index sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars, and they decide to take that money and buy back their own stock so they can boost their bonuses, and help already the mega rich who already own the stock. To me, that's bullshit. You need to put that money towards actual real innovation and real value, or you need to give that money back to the country and you need to be taxed on that. Like, I think maybe a tax on buybacks. For every stock you buy back, you got to do an equal amount of payment and taxes, because that is a misallocation of money, in my opinion. That is absolute utter
why would you
bullshit.
do an equal amount of payment in taxes? Why would you not do
Because then they wouldn't do
hang on, hang on.
buybacks, and I just want to
Instead,
de-incentivize buybacks. Buybacks are
okay,
bullshit.
so if you want to do that, why not require a mandatory special dividend to the actual shareholders of a particular amount every time that you do that?
Because the shareholders are already the stupid rich people, and that's not really helping broad society. In the scenario where we need UBI, who's gonna pay the UBI? It's gonna be, these 10 companies that make up 40% of the top 500 companies in the US. That's an unreal amount of money, an unreal amount of capital. These companies could pay 40 billion a year each, feel literally nothing, not be slowed down whatsoever, and that money could easily be used for UBI. And in the scenario you're talking about, where you have massive job destruction, and even in the most bullish take where, oh, it's going to make a bunch of jobs and everything will be fine, even if that is the case, you're still going to have 5, 6, 7 years of adjustment, where that isn't the case, and those jobs haven't been created yet, and there is massive poverty. And I feel like the fuck up that we always make is we'll put out the UBI after it's been really needed, and then it just becomes a problem rather than getting ahead of the obvious incoming problem. Yeah, but I mean, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Those who do know history are doomed to watch others repeat it.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, when you talk about a world where you have a massive robot army that is being produced by a variety of different companies, and that
Will be variety.
well, right now it's going to be, well, it looks like it's going to be right now Tesla, but I do think there will be other companies um, down the road. I would hope there would be competition, and there will be. When you look at a world like that, I the problem that I end up seeing is that, all right, so like Uber is a good example of this. You got all these people that are doing the ride share, and now you've got Tesla, Waymo. You've got all these different companies that are automating that process. So you got these autonomous vehicles that are going to be replacing all these gig workers that are working in that industry. Well, okay, me as someone that I do drive on Uber to keep myself busy throughout the day, get out of the house and make a little money on the side. I look at that and say, how cool would that be? I would love to be an owner of 5 robo taxis. But I don't know if Tesla is going to give us the opportunity to be owners of robo taxis and run them on platforms. As long as you still give out, like, if they're going to monopolize that whole industry, then you're going to have serious problems. But if they allow me as a Uber driver to go out and buy a robo taxi and have it run autonomously, then it doesn't really affect my way of life. I can buy 5 robo taxis and have them doing that, and actually that improves my quality of life because then they become a revenue generating tool for myself. So I think that there needs to be some kind of legislation to, number one, stop the monopoly of these industries in automation and to disperse them throughout. So to make sure that we can have private ownership of some of this technology, to make sure it doesn't become a monopoly, in the sense that Tesla makes all these autonomous vehicles, and then what do? They just create a Tesla app where now anytime you want to go anywhere, you just open your Tesla app. Tesla owns the vehicles. They generate the revenue from not only the vehicle sales to all the people, they generate the revenue from all of the fares that they're getting. So if we could decentralize some part of that process to allow private ownership, that would be better in my opinion. So like I as an individual don't have a problem with it unless it's going to be all centralized under the Tesla brand, and Tesla just continues to grow into this behemoth where they're basically taking over. They're creating a workforce, and they're in the workforce industry. Like that would be problematic.
Yeah, I mean that's where it looks like it's headed, though. I mean,
I know,
that's
but
what
what I'm
slowly
saying
all
is
these companies do, and then even think about it. How do you stop them from doing that if they want to do it? Like, how do you even break up a monopoly like that?
you have to privatize the ownership. Like I don't see a problem with, if I want robots to come work in my company, like that's I don't see how you stop it without creating some type of legislation to either, number one, break up the company, but even breaking up the company doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
Private ownership of the actual workforce would be the only thing that would.
But even then, that's all you're gonna. You think middle class homes are gonna be able to afford these workers, and then the super rich are gonna have private armies of robots.
Yeah, they're going to have private armies of robots no matter what. So I think it's better to allow opportunity for people such as myself, that if I can start off and have one robot that can generate some type of revenue and wealth or income for me, and that can scale it, if it's scalable, which it has to be in order to be effective, then what's the problem?
It just feels like even more of a K-shaped problem where
Well,
you
it's much better than the other problem where where you're not even allowed to, you know what I mean? Like we have to secure this ability for me as a private citizen to be able to have my robot be just as not only useful but interchangeable with another robot. So the company that's needs labor can't just go solely to Tesla and say I need X amount of robots and effectively not give any of the private citizens robots opportunity to get in on that revenue. Like there has to be some type of privatization on that level where when I say
You're literally talking
privatization,
about like robot unions and robot rights type of,
yeah, because
which
we're talking
is
about
just
monopolizing the
so.
workforce
Yeah, I
of
know, but
robots.
it sounds so wild to me. I mean, it makes some sense, but I just don't see how that
It would
doesn't
have to be through
just become
legislation. Like it would,
monopolized. But even what does that legislation even look like? I feel like that legislation would
I don't,
just be a
I don't
massive
know,
hindrance. I feel like.
but
That
you
is
would
interesting. So, what
it's
do you think of?
basically
Let's transition here. We've been on this one enough. We got to. I want to. Let's move from robots to AI avatars. Uh, 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 because I had a thought, and I want your thoughts on my thought. Um, you know, even when I was doing my research on Angel Studios, I looked at how much they paid their creators, and they paid their creators very well, like better than Netflix and HBO and Paramount and AMC, and maybe not Netflix. There's probably a few people at Netflix that Netflix plays favorites too, but I think because of that, that's why the shows are so good, and that's why they have such good content. But I feel like we're already reaching a point in this industry where if these major streaming platforms don't utilize AI holistically to the point of like even AI actors and stuff that look real, I feel like YouTube's going to beat all of them. Because regardless of how much talent these streaming platforms have, YouTube's got more. Like the best and the brightest, the most creative people are all on YouTube working on their own. And as soon as these AI tools get good enough that these people can create their own shows with a cast of 50 people with AI and output that content on an insane level, they're gonna do it. And that stuff just is just gonna be way better than every other streaming platform. What do you think about that thesis?
you're basically saying that if you don't embrace the AI as far as production of content, that you're going to be taken over by people that do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
Be more successful.
I'm basically saying that like Angel Studios is cool and stuff in this moment, but if they don't use AI, and Netflix already said they won't, they already got writer strikes and stuff, and they're already trying not to use. They said they're not going to use AI actors, but I'm sorry, an AI actor, AI is getting really good, and eventually it'll be indiscernible. It'll be
Indiscernible.
that's not the word. It'll be that's not a word. What word am I looking for? It will be it'll be impossible. It's not the word I want, but it's the word I'm going with. Impossible to tell the difference between a real person and an AI person. And not only
Yeah,
that,
that is
I
the
think
word
they'll
that
be
you're looking
famous.
for. Indiscernible.
Yeah, okay. I think they'll be famous. It didn't sound right in my head, but you're probably right. I think there's going to be famous AI actors that play different roles and different shows, just like there's like famous anime characters that are animated. That make like special appearances on other shows and stuff. I
Yeah.
totally think you're gonna have like freaking agents for these made up characters, and writers are gonna dominate everything, and actors are gonna starve. I think that's what the future is. And all these people who are stonewalled out of these writers groups and stuff or can't handle it, they're going to do amazing. If you're a creative person and you have extreme talent, George R. Martin, for instance, I mean, think how awesome. People don't like it because they're like, oh, the animators are going to go to job and that sucks. And I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm excited about someone like George R. Martin being able to take his book, feed it to an AI, and boom, whole series TV show in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there are elements of it, and when it gets to the point where it is indiscernible from a human, um, I don't, I don't know. I honestly don't know if we're close to that point. I mean, we're definitely getting closer. I mean, you look at some of these AI videos you see online now, where it used to be pretty easy to tell, and now it's getting pretty difficult because the quality is just getting better and better. But I I don't know. I would like to think there's something about the human experience that can't be duplicated with a computer. Um, I would
But for
like to think that.
viewing, just for viewing purposes, just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Even for entertainment purposes, I'd like to think that there's something about the human experience um,
You see, I
that
don't. I
we
think
as humans.
I agree with
wo-
you. I don't think there'll ever be like AI taking over podcasts. People won't listen to AI basically talk to itself about what's going on in the world. You know, like when it comes to like what we're doing right now, or for like a news reporter or, you know, some sort of commentary, people aren't going to want to really listen to what AI says. They're going to want to hear from someone using AI to stay informed on things and then give their opinion. And, um, but when it comes to, I want to watch fantasy world entertainment, I want to watch, you know, mystery drama. I don't think people give a shit about if it's whether it's AI actors or real actors. And there's a bunch of people virtue signaling about it. But honestly, you know, push comes to shove and they start to experience the benefits of like, wow, my favorite show used to only come out weekly and I used to have to wait a full year for each new episode. Now it comes out daily and there's like 65 seasons and I don't even need to watch any other shows because they're putting out these shows so fast that there's like nothing else really to have to watch. Oh, but you know what? Actually, I have so much time because my robot cleans the house for me and does everything, and I got UBI income, and you know, I actually just am a prompt engineer, or like I have all this extra free time just to watch all this content, or I type out a prompt and tell AI to make the show I want to watch, and then I binge that. You know, like it's wild.
Yeah, I I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that they're. Yes, for some things. Look at Nvidia down to 185.
I know
Uh,
the market is really starting to call them apart at the seams
yeah,
here. I
Tesla's given up its
big
whole move on the day, but I'm not convinced that that it's gonna be the way that you're describing it. I don't think that there's for some things, yes, but as a whole, I don't think the whole industry. Wow, what is wowzer?
Yeah, this is starting to accelerate. It's not under Friday lows, but if you take that out, we as SPY techs out 663, this can really start to accelerate. Holy cow, Palantir! I have that Palantir. I put out that Palantir short while we were chatting and called it out to the Discord, and that's working nicely right here. That was the
Yeah,
second attempt because they did that little reversal out of there. My IBIT puts are up 125% here. The only short
yeah.
I have that isn't working is silver at the moment. Yeah,
I
Tesla
closed my
gave up that.
silver this morning.
I
Tesla gave it all back.
Yeah, you know, Nvidia's bringing the market down. I don't really think we should see an extension ahead of Nvidia earnings, but maybe we will. I was kind of thinking we trade sideways into Nvidia earnings and get a pop, and then we fade the pop. Actually, what is Google doing here? Because I thought Google was the. I was kind of watching Google all morning to see if there would be a fade. Oh, there definitely was a fade. You know what? The way it kind of was holding that 290 is kind of when I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop watching it because it looks like it's just gonna consolidate sideways. But it's pretty much given up that entire move. If it can break, actually, that pre-market support at 283. I might take a short and look for the bull flag to fail again. Palantir under 169 looks like a really, really good short. Are you still short hood here, man? That hood short from last week, because we were both. Were you still short with me, or did you close it on Friday?
No, I closed it today and rolled out to a further strike.
Okay, yeah, that I think hood's kind of falling apart at the seams here, especially with the crypto weakness. Did you see? We should wrap this up here soon. But did you see the? They're now going to be. You can, if you have a Robinhood account, you can request your cash be sent to you, through the app, and they'll deliver it in a little brown baggie to you. Like you can request a withdrawal from your brokerage account in cash, and they will drive the cash to your house within 1 day. And a little brown baggie is literally what they put on their press release.
What's the purpose of that?
I don't know. They think that's what millennials want. Millennials want cash.
Are they just trying to make the life of these people that work at these financial institutions more difficult? Like,
I feel like people walking around with brown bags are going to start getting mugged a lot once people start realizing it's a thing, that the brown baggie means there's money in it.
that's kind of wild. I added to Bitcoin shorts here.
Oh, you added to them. I'm just kind of I've been kind of slowly taking profits all day, honestly.
I did take a little
in my small
earlier
account,
on, but then
I'm up 42% on
this is ugly.
Actually, the small account, I do not have enough downside. I really need to cash for some more downside. You know what? I'm gonna put back on some MU puts. I'm gonna roll these down a bit. Go for like the end of the month here. Well, I feel like now we're both just trading instead of podcasting. But if everyone enjoyed the podcast, if anyone enjoyed this Palantir short, this is actually where I add to Palantir. Wait a second. You want to do the outro, Abe?
Sure. Thanks. What is I don't remember the name of our podcast anymore.
No retakes.
No retakes podcast. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to come hang out with us in our Discord. Check us out on all of our social media on YouTube. And Josh, you have you do Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. So check out the links in the bio and come hang out with us.
Yeah, and in the future, you don't have to be a paid member to be part of the podcast. We will open this up publicly. You could come and join the discussion, and come talk shit with us. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll really, 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 really like it. So you should definitely do that. Okay. God bless. Good night.